Hi, my name is Caitlin Parker. Before we get into the breadth of the summary of the marketing simulation, I'd like to give y'all some background information. The first page I will discuss today is a tab labeled Dashboard Overview. This page displays pie charts that depict the segment share of Minnesota Motor Company. Up here we have the market share percentages for segments A, B, C, D, and small segment. There is also the quarterly revenue graph, unit sales graphs, spending on features graphs, average prices, and the Minnesota Motors profit margin graph. From there, we have the net prices tab, which shows the prices that customers in each segment pay within a quarter. The customer purchases tab shows us how much of the product was purchased by the customer. Here on the left, we have the total large customer sales, and on the right, we have the total small unit sales. Here, we have the sales tab, which shows the total sales in the dollar amount that was spent for large and small customers. The income statement shows the revenue, gross margin, and total operating expense per each quarter. Market research shows us how we compare the competitors with research on how they spend their money on features such as power to size ratio and thermal resistance features. Then there's the product performance tab, which simply shows us Minnesota Motors product performance compared to the competitor. The customer satisfaction tab, in my opinion, was the most beneficial tab because it allowed me to look at the segment responses and see if they are satisfied or dissatisfied, and from there I can make adjustments pertaining to what they say they feel we are lacking. Lastly, the Salesforce report shows us the amount of time our sales team spends with each segment. So moving on to my role in the simulation, I was the hypothetical CEO of Minnesota Motors Company, and I needed to earn a cumulative profit of $9 million. In this run, I earned a cumulative profit of $9,579,670. I achieved this by first and foremost listening to my customer feedback. As you can see here, segment A is very satisfied. I can read by clicking on the notepad below the picture. Here you see segment A was very satisfied with our knowledge of the market and our advice regarding trends in medical devices. Move down to segment B, and you can see she is dissatisfied because she had questions regarding thermal resistant features when we didn't get back to her on. A good way to try and please her could be by better training my employees or spending some more time with her segment. You can see here the amount of money that I spent on her segment. Moving on, it is very important to me to always refer back to the income statement as well to ensure my cumulative profit was increasing with my decisions I was making. As I spoke about earlier, segment A was very satisfied. Segment A is price sensitive and is loyal to Minnesota Motor Company. With them, I didn't have to give them a very large discount. I spent money on their interests such as power to size ratio and thermal resistance feature spending. Segment B has always been the most challenging to please. As you can see here, they are dissatisfied. I tried to compensate them by giving them a bigger discount, but at the end of the day, they're always going to be loyal to my competitor. Segment C is not price sensitive, so they didn't need a discount. I set the discount to 0% throughout the whole simulation, but I made sure I pleased them by allocating generous amounts of money to thermal resistance and power to size ratio. The greatest amount of discount was given to segment D because they are my price sensitive segment. I was only allowed to give them a 20% discount. I couldn't give them anything higher. My price remained constant throughout the duration of the simulation. I did try an experiment in Q2 of 2014 with a price of $144. However, in the end, it hurt me more than it helped me. Here in customer purchases, you can see, according to the graphs, how many units each customer segment purchased. Also, if you click the income statement tab and click the second tab that says per unit, you can look at the dollars per unit that was spent within each quarter. Q2 of 2015, Q3 of 2015, and Q4 of 2015. You can see total revenue, cost of goods sold, you can see gross margin, total operating expenses, net income, and then my cumulative profit that I earned. If you click over on the percentages tab, you can see data as a percent of total revenue, as well as the total revenue, gross margin, total operating expenses, net income, and cumulative profit, as I mentioned in the per unit tab. Then briefly, you can see over here segment A, B, C, and D and small customers, the amount of money they were spending there. I think it is important to mention the news tab up here. This one says that last quarter, sales from existing customers increased by 4% and sales from new customers decreased by 2%. So what that tells me is that I need to step up my how aggressive I am with my sales for new customers. I want to see that increased and not decreased. And then distributors, on average, are attempting to achieve a 5% profit margin. Overall, my advice to reach $8 million in profit, being the CEO of Minnesota Motors Company, is to take a look on what pleases and displeases your different segments. And once you get a good rhythm going, don't change a whole lot. Just keep running through, remaining steady and constant. People don't really like change or take to it very well. I didn't change a whole lot once I had my numbers where I wanted them, and I ended up going above and beyond and reaching that $9 million in cumulative profit.